Welcome to another taping of Our Schools. With me today is a very distinguished panel. It's actually a group of individuals that are the heart and soul of what we do and provide in our classrooms. They bear the responsibility to ensure that each one of the adults that stand before our children are competent and caring, have the love of learning, not just for themselves, but they want to impart that love of learning on each one of the students we serve each and every day. With me is Alice Walton, the Chief Administrative and Human Resources Officer, Reggie Dees, Director of Personnel, and Dale Crawford, Director of Classified Personnel. Yes. So Alice, your division is truly complex in many ways. So if you can give the viewers an idea of the complexity within that department and what are some of the things that occur in administrative and human resources.
If I could try to make it simple so it's easy to understand, we deal with all things human in the district. We're the heart and soul, and like you said, we ensure that every adult that's in our building, anywhere dealing with students, are caring, competent, and professional. We have different segments of the organization, and I'd like to look at it in chunks. We hire people, we support staff, we service staff, provide services for staff, we support principals. So employees that are not with us yet, we support when they get here. Our current employees, we make sure they have a safe, healthy working environment.
Now Reggie, I know the process is pretty difficult. How do you ensure that the teachers we hire are qualified for the position in which we're placing them in?
Well, first we check their certification to make sure they're properly licensed, and we also check their certification at the State Department to make sure they have applied for certification of reciprocity at our State Department. We interview every last one of our candidates, maybe once or twice, up to 3 times. We check their online application for their history, their work history, to see where they were previously employed. If they're still employed, we contact their current employer for reference.
And Dale, how many job applications do you think we receive in a typical year?
Well, typically we receive over 3,000 applications in a school year. And since going live in January of 2013, we've received over 16,600 applications to date.
So from the application to what we do when we receive it, what is that process like? What is it we do on our end once that occurs?
Once an applicant submits their application for a position, then we have staff that go in and review the application to see if there are any red flags from some of the questions that we are asking them. We also make sure that they provide all the documentation that we are requiring, reference checks to make sure that those are okay. And then once we've determined that they've met the basic requirements for the position, then we'll release the application to the principal for his review.
Now, Alice, in addition to just those that are applying to come to work for us, we also process applications for those that volunteer.
Yes, we do.
And, you know, we tightened that process up a little bit, and we thought we might see a drop-off in those that were making their way into our classrooms. What actually has happened in that process, and what is that process like?
I believe the uptick in the volunteers should be accredited back to the community and the people that live in this community and their concerns about our 22,000 students. We have expanded the background check for all volunteers, and it all takes us back to that supporting and make sure quality, capable adults are in front of our students. So we do a national search, all databases, which would include sex offenders, any criminal activities, and it's a real simple process for applicants. They go online, they complete an application, BIB runs our security checks. They then certify or not certify an individual, give them legitimate valid passes and identity to get in the buildings. And I think right now we're about 7,000 volunteers, up from 1,500. And out of the 7,000, and all of our background checks, we might have had maybe 100 that we have denied.
Okay. Adele, we also do background checks on every applicant, correct?
That is correct.
So how does that process work for just a traditional kind of applicant?
Once a principal makes a recommendation for an applicant to be hired for the position, then at that time we do the same background check through BIB as well, and to ensure that they are cleared, and that's a nationwide search.
Now, Reggie, we hear all the time that we should be looking for that non-traditional applicant, someone that might not have gone through a traditional educational program. I think we call it alternative licensing in South Carolina. So tell us a little bit about that program, how it works, and how often it's used.
Currently, we have 3 alternative certifications. There's CATE, which is Career and Technology Education. We have PACE, which is a program for alternative certification, and that allows an applicant that has a bachelor's degree to apply for a teaching certificate. It is a 3-year process. And we also have a program that is called ABC Teach. That program allows us to hire individuals not in the traditional setting, which they don't have to go to school and get a 4-year degree. They can have, again, a bachelor's degree, apply for certification in one of the content areas that PACE allows.
And if someone were interested, is that a district decision? Is there an outside external agency they need to work with? Does it go straight through the state?
That program goes straight to the State Department. They will certify them, and then we can hire them based on the content area that they certify them in.
Now, obviously, just getting in the door, going through the process, and getting a recommendation to be hired is just a small part. Once they're hired, then we also evaluate them, correct?
Yes.
So, Reggie, when we look at those, around 1,600 teachers annually, how does that process work? How does that evaluation process work?
Well, once we hire them, we orientate every teacher to make them familiar with the Beaufort County rules and regulations and procedures. Each teacher, based on the State Department, has to go through an evaluation process. Currently, we have 3. We have induction, we have ADEPT, which is a formal evaluation, and we have a goals-based, which is not a formal evaluation. All of our induction teachers go through a 2-year support program where we support them throughout the year for 2 years to make sure that they understand our processes. Our formal evaluations, teachers go through a formal evaluation for a year. It is a 3-member team. They get evaluated 6 times throughout the year. And goals-based teachers are for our experienced teachers, and they are not formally evaluated. They set goals throughout the year.
Now, Dale, when someone comes in, they're always wondering, how much money am I going to make?
That's right.
So how is the process for our employees when they come in? What does that process look like and feel like when we start to establish the salary range and salary dollar values for our new employees?
Well, first of all, the salaries that we generate are based on the approved salary schedules that the board has approved for that school year. And if they're a certified teacher, then we look at their certification to determine their degree level and the years of experience that they've been granted, and we pay them according to the salary schedule for teachers. For classified staff, we review their applications and their resume, and we gain we look at their experience to see what they've had, and then we determine the credit that we're going to give them for their years of experience, whether it's similar or it's like experience, and we pay them according to the schedule.
The other part, obviously, is deciding who goes where. How much, Alice, does your department, and this can be for all 3 of you, how much does your department, or how much do you play in making that decision or giving suggestions as you're looking through the applicants, talking with references? Is it a partnership between you and the principal to help decide who would be a better fit somewhere?
It is a partnership, and I would say the principals are the primary stakeholder in that. What we do is support. We make sure we have viable candidates for principals to select. They have to then decide if that candidate is a fit for them. They make the recommendation of who they want to hire. We then do that final verification and vetting of that employee to make sure that employee is equipped and ready to go into that building. So I would say we play a great role in the background, but principals decide who goes where.
That's correct.
Now, hiring is not the only thing you do in your department. There's this other wonderful piece called benefits, right?
Yes.
Yes.
How often do you have to explain benefits to our employees? Is that an extremely complicated area? How much do we have to follow by the state?
It is complicated. We have 2 benefit administrators in our department, and they work solely with employees on benefit questions, retirement questions, and that's all they do all day, and sometimes all night. The benefits are set by the state, comes down from the state, but we also have an involuntary list of coverages that employees can pick up if they want outside of the state. But the benefits administrators answer questions. Of course, there's the State Department to give them answers, but we try to put a personal touch on it, so we deal with each individual separately when they have benefit questions.
Well, and I know this next segment we're going to look at teacher recruitment, and it plays a very vital role. But before, Alice, I'm going to ask you to talk about what we've done recently for teacher recruitment. All of you receive calls from different classifications of employees on challenges, problems. What do you think most of those center around? What are the calls? What are our employees concerned about?
Well, it depends on the call. If I get a call that I can't answer, first of all, I'll find the right person to answer that question. It could be Dale, it could be Alice, it could be Jill, or anybody in the HR department. But most of my calls that I receive involve certification, status, certification, upgrades, and my evaluation process. Where am I on my contract level?
And and I get a lot of calls regarding salaries and pays. How am I being paid? How was my salary constructed? I also get calls regarding sick days. How many sick days do I have left? And those kind of things. And step upgrades. We do a lot of step upgrades because of the teachers changing their certification, and we try to get those, in a timely manner within 1 or 2 pay periods, so they're not waiting on their money.
So Alice, back to recruitment. What's changed in recent years? Why is that so important?
Because we have a teacher shortage nationwide, and it's a 3-pronged stool. We have people deciding that they don't want to go into education anymore. Then we have colleges not producing the supply for our needs. And then we have area differences. How costly is it to live in an area? We are very grateful that the board has commissioned and given teachers the salary supplement. That helps us a lot. It has been a great recruitment tool, and we're just working within the confines, and I like to say we're swimming against the tide because everyone is looking for teachers.
So come back, join us when we get into teacher recruitment and how effective it's running in Beaufort County.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Getting the flu is not fun for anyone. Flu prevention and response is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Some ways you could practice prevention is by 1, washing your hands and keeping your home clean. 2, keeping your immune system strong by eating healthy and being active. And 3, staying away from people who are sick. Now, If you do get the flu or get sick, then 1, go to the doctor. 2, stay home from school or work. And 3, stay hydrated to strengthen your body to fight the virus. So remember, flu prevention and response is as easy as that. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to this segment on teacher recruitment. And just as the panel before, this is another very distinguished panel. We have Jill McGadden, who is our district recruiting officer, coordinator. Willie Turrell, who's a teacher at St. Helena Elementary School. Thank you for being with us today, Willie. And Chad Cox, who is the current principal at Well Branch Middle School, but will start next school year as the principal at Battery Creek High School. So, Chad, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, sir.
So, Jill, when we think about recruitment, I asked Ms. Walton how that's changed in recent years. I know there has to be a tremendous amount of competition out there as you're trying to vie to bring in the best candidates. So tell us a little bit about how that's changed and why it is so critical here in Beaufort County.
Well, it's critical in Beaufort County because, as you said earlier, we want the best teachers in front of our children. We recruit candidates from all over the state, and we go outside of the state. It is hard to recruit folks to come to Beaufort County from time to time. There are challenges that we have all spoken of before, but we're happy that we've partnered with Sarah for the Center of Retention, Recruitment, and Advancement. They've been very helpful this year. So,
what have they provided? What is so what you're telling us is the state has also recognized this whole area of recruitment is becoming more difficult.
Absolutely.
So how has the state decided to assist us school districts?
The state has not only recognized that, but they provided some funds for us to supplement teacher salaries. But in addition, they have a database of teachers that's deep and wide from us to pull from and talk to candidates that might not apply to our site.
Chad, as a principal, I know you're heavily involved in trying to ensure you have that competent, caring adult in the classroom. Mm-hmm. How do you view the principal's role in having a stake in this whole recruitment issue and ensuring we have quality teachers in the classroom?
Well, without good teachers, you know, we don't. That is where everything starts. Everything centers around having quality teachers in classroom that are going to deliver meaningful instruction to students. And so if you're not involved in that recruiting process, if you're not involved in trying to get the best folks into your school, then that pot is going to dry up over time. So you have to continue to hustle, get out there and try to recruit the best teachers you could possibly, recruit the people that you would want to put in front of your own children. And so that's important. And so we're the gatekeeper of that. We're the face that they're going to see when they come in that school, you know, and it's important that we can continue to build the capacity of those folks as that cycle goes on. We talked earlier about the aging population of, you know, a lot of the baby boomers are retiring. And so we have to work hard to continue to fill that need so that we don't get to the point where we just have our schools are filled with first-year teachers. We have to continue to work and to build the capacity of everyone in the building at all levels.
Willie, I'm impressed. You were in the Call Me Mr. program.
Yes, sir.
Great program. Tell us a little bit about that program, but tell us how you viewed the recruitment efforts and how you believe our college students would embrace some of those efforts.
Well, the Mr. program is an excellent program. Of course, I attended USCB. MR stands for Mentors Instructing Students Towards Effective Role Models. I think that the laying out of the words kind of lays the mission as well. It's important that we get kids charged up to lead themselves. We got Leader in Me schools popping up, and it's just role models is from the inside. It's kind of what drives a good class environment. I had the pleasure to be a part of the program. It kind of propelled me forward because what the program does is takes a student who would normally see the classroom maybe as a senior or junior. Your freshman year, you're in the class. Your sophomore year, you're in the community. you're getting out there and you're seeing how a class is run, you're seeing the challenges, and it kind of gets you mentally prepared ahead of time to know what you need to gather from your instruction to take with you into the classroom.
So Jill, if you're going to USCB or any other school, what's that sales pitch? What will sell Willie on wanting to come to Beaufort County?
That's the million-dollar question. One of the things that I love to talk about with our new teachers is our induction program. We have a very strong induction program. We have mentors at the district level who provide tremendous support. Of course, we want everyone to succeed and give them the tools that they need to succeed. We also have adopted a little lingo to love where you live, and this community has so much to offer our young teachers as far as getting out and enjoying their free time. So these are the two things I hang my hat on: love where you live and very strong induction program.
So Willie, as a potential candidate, what message do you think our college students are wanting to hear?
Support. You want to know that when you graduate, you're not going to hit your head on the rocks. Having a strong induction program, having good support coming out is going to be essential. You know, you want to start slow to go fast, and having that induction program that kind of lays out everything you need and supports you through it, it gives you a lot of confidence when you're going forth. It's a 5-year process just to get that degree sometimes, and then another 3 years, so you want to know that your investment is going to pay off.
Chad, I know when you're interviewing and asking questions of the potential candidates, you're ensuring that they have the academic requisite to be in the classroom. But what are some of the other qualities that you look for in that applicant when you're trying to decide if they should be a member of your staff?
We're looking for the fit. We want to make sure that they're going to fit the culture of the school, that they're going to fit well with the community, that they're going to bring more things to the table than what just happens from beginning of the class to the end of the class. Teaching is such a diverse career now, and that we do far more than teach content. And so we want to look for people that bring their life experiences, looking for someone that's going to bring a variety to what we do, and someone that's going to interact and come in. And many of our schools operate like families. Staffs often will say that's their second. They leave their family at home to come with their work family during the day, and I feel like when people feel like they're part of that environment, they're more likely to thrive. And so we're really looking for, yes, they have all the qualifications, but is this the right piece of the puzzle that we need right now?
And you mentioned that fit. So are those things like sponsors, mentoring, club activities?
One of the questions that we always ask in our interview process is, what do you bring to our school outside of the classroom? And we're really looking for their passion. And I believe that diversity comes in a lot of shapes and forms, and you know, you never know what's going to reach a child. For example, we've got some teachers who they really like to quilt, and you know, some kids were immediately drawn to that because their grandmother taught them to quilt. And so that's another way for an adult to engage a child in a meaningful conversation, and who knows how far that can go. So we're always trying to tap into their interest, and when asking teachers to do those things, if they're passionate about it, the way they go about those interactions with students, it's on a different level.
So we talked about the process in the earlier segment. After recruiting, you know, you get them to sign the dotted line. So Willie signed the dotted line. What are some of the things that we're doing in our buildings after they sign that dotted line?
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part of being a principal. I love to take someone in and welcome them in, but it's kind of the hidden things that they don't tell you in any job you're going into, like where do I go to get copies, or you know, where do I go when? And I love the development. I think it has to be ongoing, especially because the variety we see coming in the door. You may have a 22-year-old young adult coming into the career, but you also may have someone that's coming to us from a second career. They're in two very different places in life, but they still need that ongoing systematic support. We do it at the school level, but it's a beautiful pairing at the district level because they get to sit with people on a regular basis that are going through the same thing. But nothing brings us more pleasure than to see the development of those folks, and knowing that there's an opportunity for them to advance within the district is also is also a big selling point for them.
So Willie, you're finishing your first year with Dr. Tara Mack, another one of our great principals at St. Helena. How would you rate the support you've received?
Excellent, above par. Dr. Mack is an excellent principal. Yolanda Gothi, assistant principal out there. But they have a phenomenal staff at St. Helena Elementary, and I think we talked about environment early. It's all about buy-in. I've been able to participate in activities, did a drumming and dance performance, a step team performance. So, I mean, every time I turn around, it's, Mr. Turrell, you want to get involved in this? And that keeps me going. And then the school itself, I mean, it feels good to become a superhero. And that's what you are when you're a great teacher. You walk through the halls and kids from, I don't know what class they're in, they know my name, and it's like, hey, how you doing this morning? And it's a great feeling. And it's just excellent to be part of something positive.
Jill, I know it has to have looked different than when you and I were recruited.
Yes.
So when you're walking or setting up at a college or a university and you're looking at the traffic, do you see an uptick in the traffic, or the traffic you really have to reach out and go grab them and bring them in?
I see a little of both. I see an uptick when the word is out on the street that Beaufort County is a great place to come and start your career. And I think we've talked about that with Mr. Turrell. It's a great place to start, and we hope that once they start here, they'll finish their career with us.
How important, from a recruitment perspective, from a principal when you're interviewing, and from a teacher, is the concept of our locality supplement? How important is that in making that offer and then deciding whether or not you want to work and live in this community?
Well, I know as a teacher, it's vital importance. You have a passion, but you also have bills you got to pay. And so at the end of the day, you don't want to lose somebody who could be prospectively a great teacher because we just can't afford to pay them. So
it just gives us an advantage. I think in comparison to the surrounding districts and other places, it's one more thing that we can go out there and say there's another reason for you to come here. And it shows a commitment. It shows a commitment from the school district and from the county that we're going to do all we can to support our people to keep them here. And that's an important message to send.
How does it help with recruiting?
It helps very much. It tells new candidates that they have a superintendent behind them and they have a school board behind them, and it's significant.
Any last minute thoughts on what we could do differently, real quickly, on making our recruitment effort better?
We do quite a bit. I mean, we do participate. Something that the school district does is we send folks all over the state, all over the southeast, all over the country, really, to recruit. A lot of people don't know that, and it's done intentionally. So I'm a proud graduate of Clemson University, and they send me to the job fair there, and that's a bright way to go about things, because you're putting someone in front of applicants and they can see themselves. Because I sat in that career fair years ago. So when we're sending people to those locations, but we're doing all those things. We're going to all types of schools all over the place. We're increasing the pay when we can and trying to supplement that. We have arguably one of the strongest induction and support programs that I've seen. From a recruiting perspective, I don't know much more we can do.
Yeah. What we want you to do is hopefully, as you've listened to both of these segments, realize that Beaufort County is a great place to come and work, live, and raise a family. We are going to support, and I completely agree that support is more valuable and you can't put a price tag on it. We'll support you in the classroom and out of the classroom, and we'll do everything to make your life a lot easier. Consider Beaufort County above all other places across not only the state of South Carolina, but across the United States. This is the place you want to be if you're interested in educating kids. Thank you, and join us next time.